The satellite alert that flashed across Pentagon screens at 0347 Eastern Standard Time carried a single line of text that would redefine Pacific naval strategy for the next Type-004. Fujian conducting full-scale flight operations 400 nautical miles southeast of Taiwan. Within minutes, the USS Gerald R. Ford was receiving emergency play tasking orders, while Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force commanders found themselves staring at radar contacts that represented a quantum leap in Chinese naval aviation capability. The People's Liberation Army Navy had achieved what defense analysts believed was still years away. A fully operational nuclear-powered supercarrier capable of deploying over 80 advanced fighter aircraft across combat ranges that encompassed every critical choke point from the South China Sea to the second island chain. Intelligence. Assessments streaming into Allied command centers revealed that Chinese J-35 stealth fighters were conducting round-the-clock operations from the massive carrier deck. KJ-600 airborne early warning aircraft extended Chinese sensor coverage across maritime zones that American naval planners had considered secure just 48 hours earlier. Activation of China's most advanced aircraft carrier didn't just add another platform to the People's Liberation Army Navy, it fundamentally altered the strategic calculus that has governed Pacific security since World War II. The question, reverberating through defense ministries from Washington to Tokyo, was no longer whether China could challenge American naval dominance in the Western Pacific, but whether the era of unchallenged American carrier superiority had ended forever. The strategic environment that makes China's Type-004 activation so consequential reflects a Pacific region where traditional power structures face unprecedented challenges, from rising military capabilities and intensifying territorial disputes. American naval dominance, anchored by 11 nuclear-powered supercarriers and their associated strike groups, has provided the backbone of Pacific security architecture for over 7 decades, guaranteeing sea lane security and deterring potential aggressors through overwhelming technological and numerical superiority. China's rapid naval expansion over the past 15 years has systematically challenged this dominance, with the People's Liberation Army Navy growing from a coastal defense force into a blue water navy capable of sustained operations across the entire Pacific Basin. The Taiwan question looms over every strategic calculation in the region, with Beijing's determination to achieve reunification creating scenarios where Chinese naval forces must be capable of establishing and maintaining sea control against the combined opposition of American, Japanese, potentially allied naval forces. The South China Sea territorial disputes have transformed routine naval operations into potential flashpoints, with Chinese artificial island construction providing permanent naval bases that extend Beijing's operational reach across critical maritime choke points. Japan's growing military capabilities and evolving security doctrine create additional complications for Chinese strategic planning, with Tokyo's advanced destroyers, submarines, and maritime patrol aircraft representing credible threats that could significantly complicate any Chinese military operation in the region. North Korea's nuclear weapons program and unpredictable provocations add layers of complexity that could trigger broader conflicts involving multiple nuclear powers, while South Korea's advanced naval capabilities provide additional variables that Chinese planners must consider. The United States maintains extensive alliance relationships, defense commitments across the Pacific that create obligations to respond to Chinese military action, potentially escalating regional conflicts into superpower confrontations with global implications. Economic considerations compound military tensions, with over 60% of global maritime trade flowing through waters where Chinese and American Naval forces now operate in close proximity, creating risks of accidental escalation, deliberate provocation that could disrupt global supply chains. The psychological dimensions of naval competition prove equally important, with the perception of shifting power balances potentially encouraging Chinese assertiveness while undermining confidence among American allies about Washington's ability to maintain security guarantees. China's Type-004 activation occurs within this volatile environment where regional tensions have reached levels not seen since the Cold War, making the carrier's operational debut a potential catalyst for broader strategic realignments across the Pacific theater. China's Type-004 supercarrier represents the culmination of decades of intensive naval development that has produced a platform capable of rivaling American carrier capabilities, while incorporating unique design features optimized for Pacific operations. The massive vessel displaces approximately 85,000 tons at full load and measures 320 meters in length, with a flight deck width of 78 meters, making it slightly smaller than American Ford-class carriers, but significantly larger than any previous Chinese naval platform. The nuclear propulsion system utilizes two indigenous PWR pressurized water reactors, generating over 700 megawatts of thermal power, providing virtually unlimited operational endurance and eliminating the logistical constraints that limited previous Chinese carriers to regional operations. The integrated electric propulsion system delivers maximum speed exceeding 30 knots while providing massive electrical generation capacity approaching 200 megawatts for advanced sensor systems, electromagnetic aircraft launch systems, defensive weapons. The flight deck incorporates 3 electromagnetic catapults capable of launching aircraft weighing up to 35 tons at intervals of 45 seconds, enabling rapid deployment of fully loaded fighter aircraft, airborne early warning platforms, and heavy transport aircraft that previous Chinese carriers could not effectively operate. Advanced arresting system utilizes electromagnetic technology that reduces aircraft stress, while enabling recovery of heavier aircraft types, expanding operational flexibility compared to steam-powered systems used on older carriers. The island superstructure integrates a dual-band radar system combining S-band and X-band active electronically. Scanned arrays providing 360-degree coverage with detection ranges exceeding 500 kilometers for aerial targets and comprehensive surface search capabilities optimized for maritime domain awareness. The carrier air wing capacity approaches 80 aircraft in surge operations, with typical deployments including 48 J-35 stealth fighters, 12 J-15D electronic warfare aircraft, 6 KJ-600 airborne early warning aircraft, 8 Z-20 multi-role helicopters, 6 specialized aircraft for logistics and search and rescue operations. The J-35 stealth fighters represent perhaps the most significant capability enhancement, with each aircraft incorporating advanced radar-absorbing materials, supercruise capability, and internal weapons bays that enable operations against advanced air defense systems while maintaining low radar signatures. The KJ-600 airborne early warning aircraft provide radar coverage extending to 600 kilometers and can coordinate air operations across multiple carrier strike groups while maintaining data link connectivity with mainland command centers. Defensive systems include the indigenous HHQ 10-point defense missiles, Type 1130 close-in weapon systems, and comprehensive electronic warfare suites designed to counter anti-ship missiles, torpedo attacks, and electronic jamming attempts. The carrier's nuclear power plant eliminates refueling requirements for over 25 years while providing rapid acceleration and sustained high-speed operations that enhance tactical flexibility. during combat operations. Compared to American Ford-class carriers, the Type-004 incorporates similar electromagnetic launch systems and advanced radar technology, while operating with slightly fewer aircraft and less sophisticated damage control systems. The carrier surpasses Russian Admiral Kuznetsov capabilities in virtually every measurable Kuznetsov capabilities category, while providing operational advantages over French Charles de Gaulle through larger size, nuclear propulsion, and more advanced aircraft systems. British Queen. Elizabeth-class carriers offer similar aircraft capacity, but operate with conventional propulsion and lack catapult launch systems that limit aircraft types and operational flexibility compared to the Chinese design. The operational deployment of China's Type-004 supercarrier fundamentally transforms combat scenarios across the Pacific theater, providing capabilities that enable sustained air operations across ranges and durations previously impossible for Chinese naval forces. In an air superiority scenario triggered by escalating tensions over Taiwan, the Type-004, operating 600 kilometers east of the island, would launch coordinated strikes involving 24 J-35 stealth fighters supported by KJ-600 early warning aircraft and J-15D electronic warfare platforms. The carrier's electromagnetic catapults would enable rapid aircraft deployment with full fuel and weapons loads, while the stealth characteristics of J-35 fighters would allow penetration of Taiwanese and potentially American air defenses before enemy forces could establish effective countermeasures. Chinese pilots would exploit their aircraft's advanced radar systems and beyond visual range missiles to engage Taiwanese F-16 Volts fighters and potentially American F-22 or F-35 aircraft operating from regional bases, with the numerical advantage provided by continuous carrier operations potentially overwhelming Allied defensive capabilities. The KJ-600 aircraft would provide real-time targeting data and coordination for Chinese fighters while simultaneously jamming enemy communications and radar systems, creating information dominance that would prove decisive in beyond visual range combat scenarios. In a naval strike scenario where American carrier strike groups attempted to intervene in a Taiwan conflict, the Type-004 would coordinate with submarine forces and land-based missiles to establish multi-domain attacks against American naval forces. Chinese J-35 fighters carrying YJ-21 hypersonic anti-ship missiles would approach American carrier groups from multiple vectors while maintaining stealth profiles that would complicate American air defense responses. The coordination between carrier-based aircraft and land-based missile systems would create overwhelming attack scenarios that could potentially penetrate American defensive systems through sheer volume and coordination complexity. Anti-submarine warfare scenarios would demonstrate the carrier's ability to coordinate with Chinese submarine forces and maritime patrol aircraft to establish comprehensive underwater surveillance across vast ocean areas. The Type-004's helicopter complement would provide persistent anti-submarine patrol capabilities, while carrier-based fighters would protect the task force against enemy submarine-launched missiles and potential air attacks on Chinese anti-submarine assets. Deep strike scenarios would showcase the carrier's ability to project power across the second island chain, with long-range operations extending Chinese air power to distances approaching Guam and potentially threatening American strategic bases that have been considered immune to Chinese conventional attack. The carrier's nuclear propulsion would enable sustained operations at maximum speed for weeks without refueling, while its advanced logistics systems would support continuous flight operations that could maintain pressure on American and Allied forces across multiple theaters simultaneously. Electronic warfare scenarios would demonstrate the sophisticated jamming and deception capabilities provided by specialized aircraft operating from the carrier deck, potentially disrupting American satellite communications, GPS navigation, and tactical data links that modern military operations require for effective coordination. The strategic implications of China's operational Type-004 supercarrier extend far beyond simple capability addition, fundamentally reshaping Pacific power dynamics and forcing major realignments in alliance, relationships, and defense planning across the region. American naval supremacy, which has anchored Pacific security architecture for over 7 decades, now faces its most serious challenge since World War II, with Chinese carrier capabilities approaching parity in key operational areas while offering unique advantages in specific scenarios. The psychological impact on American allies proves equally significant, with nations like Japan, Australia, and South Korea questioning whether American security guarantees remain credible against increasingly capable Chinese military forces that can now project power across previously secure maritime zones. Taiwan finds itself in an increasingly precarious position, with Chinese carrier operations demonstrating Beijing's ability to establish air and naval superiority around the island, while potentially isolating it from American and Allied support during a crisis. The broader deterrence equation across the Pacific shifts in ways that could either enhance stability through mutual vulnerability or increase instability through Chinese confidence in their ability to achieve local superiority during limited conflicts. Japan's response involves accelerated development of indigenous defense capabilities, including long-range strike missiles, enhanced submarine forces, and deepened intelligence sharing with the United States, while simultaneously exploring diplomatic options that could reduce tensions without compromising essential security interests. Australia recognizes that Chinese carrier operations could potentially threaten sea lanes essential to Australian trade, security, driving enhanced defense cooperation with the United States while accelerating indigenous submarine and missile development programs. South Korea faces complex calculations about whether Chinese naval advancement increases or decreases threats to Korean security, with enhanced Chinese capabilities potentially complicating American responses to North Korean provocations, while simultaneously providing potential protection against Japanese military expansion. The United States confronts fundamental questions about the sustainability of current Pacific strategy, with Chinese carrier capabilities forcing consideration of more distributed operations, enhanced alliance cooperation, and potentially revolutionary changes in American naval architecture and operational doctrine. Economic implications ripple across global markets, with the grave de vis perception of shifting naval balance potentially affecting shipping insurance rates, trade, route planning, and industrial location decisions that assume continued American ability to guarantee maritime security. The alliance management challenges for Washington multiply as partners demand enhanced security assurances while simultaneously questioning American capabilities and commitment levels that may no longer match traditional expectations. China's growing confidence in its naval capabilities could encourage more assertive positions in territorial disputes, potentially leading to confrontations that test American resolve while risking escalation to levels that neither superpower can control. The arms race implications prove particularly concerning, with Chinese carrier advancement likely triggering American responses that could include new carrier designs, advanced missile systems, and potentially destabilizing technologies like hypersonic weapons or autonomous systems that lower thresholds for conflict initiation. Despite the revolutionary capabilities that China's Type-004 provides, significant limitations and practical constraints prevent the carrier from achieving the strategic dominance that its impressive specifications might suggest. The most fundamental limitation stems from China's relative inexperience in carrier operations, with the People's Liberation Army Navy possessing less than a decade of operational experience compared to the American Navy's 8 decades of continuous carrier aviation development refinement. Training bottlenecks represent critical constraints, with qualified carrier pilots requiring years of specialized training that cannot be rapidly scaled, while deck crew expertise demands extensive experience that China is still developing through limited operational deployments. The advanced technology aboard the Type-004 creates maintenance complexities that could significantly limit operational availability, with nuclear propulsion systems, electromagnetic catapults, and sophisticated radar arrays, requiring specialized technical support that may not be available at forward bases during sustained operations. Cost considerations impose harsh realities on Chinese naval expansion, with each Type-004 requiring approximately $13 billion to construct and outfit, representing massive investments that limit the pace of additional carrier construction, while competing with other military modernization priorities. The carrier's operational effectiveness depends critically on supporting infrastructure, including advanced naval bases, logistic ships, escort vessels, and submarine forces that China is still developing, creating potential vulnerabilities during extended operations away from Chinese coastal waters. Political constraints within Chinese domestic politics may limit how aggressively the carrier can be employed, with concerns about escalation, risks, and international backor reactions, potentially preventing full utilization of its capabilities during crisis scenarios. Type-004's survivability against determined opposition remains questionable, with American submarine forces, long-range missiles, and potentially allied attacks, representing threats that could neutralize the carrier despite its advanced defensive systems. Industrial base limitations constrain China's ability to rapidly expand carrier numbers, with specialized shipbuilding facilities, nuclear reactor production, advanced electronics manufacturing, creating bottlenecks that prevent rapid scaling of carrier capabilities. The international isolation that aggressive carrier employment might trigger could undermine Chinese economic interests and diplomatic relationships that provide essential support for long-term military modernization programs. China's Type-004 represents only the beginning of a broader naval transformation that will reshape Pacific military balance throughout the 2030s and potentially alter global power dynamics in fundamental ways. The People's Liberation Army Navy has already initiated construction of additional Type-004 carriers while developing next-generation designs that could incorporate revolutionary technologies, including directed energy weapons, hypersonic missile systems, and artificial intelligence-assisted operations that would provide unprecedented capabilities. The development of advanced unmanned aircraft, specifically designed for carrier operations, offers possibilities for force multiplication that could enable single carriers to maintain persistent surveillance and strike capabilities across vast ocean areas while reducing human risk exposure. Integration with China's expanding satellite constellation and artificial intelligence systems could provide carrier operations with real-time global intelligence and targeting capabilities that would transform naval warfare from reactive to predictive engagement models. The broader implications for Chinese naval strategy suggest growing confidence in power projection, capabilities that could encourage more assertive foreign policy positions while potentially creating new areas of competition with American and allied forces. China's carrier program drives technological development across multiple industrial sectors, including nuclear, engineering, advanced materials, and electronic systems that could provide spillover benefits for civilian economic development while enhancing overall national technological capabilities. The export potential for Chinese naval technology creates opportunities to strengthen relationships with potential partners while generating revenue that could support continued domestic naval modernization, though technology transfer restrictions and geopolitical considerations limit immediate market opportunities. American responses will likely focus on developing countermeasures specifically designed to neutralize Chinese carrier advantages, potentially including advanced submarine capabilities, hypersonic anti-ship missiles, and space-based surveillance systems that could restore American operational advantages. The alliance dimension offers opportunities for burden-sharing arrangements, where regional partners contribute specialized capabilities that complement American carrier operations while reducing overall costs and operational demands on individual nations. Regional arms race dynamics could accelerate if other nations perceive Chinese carrier advancement as threatening their security interests, potentially triggering naval modernization programs across multiple countries that could destabilize regional security while consuming resources that could otherwise support economic development. As the Type-004 Fujian disappears beyond the horizon with its air wing of advanced fighters, spreading across Pacific skies like a steel constellation announcing a new era, one question burns through the consciousness of every naval strategist. From Pearl Harbor, has China's supercarrier achieved the technological breakthrough that finally ends American naval dominance? Or has Beijing simply built the most expensive target in military history for weapon systems that are already being designed to send it to the bottom of the Pacific?